Greetings all, welcome to another session here in Tuesday Talks. Today we're going to begin a new series on using Moodle. And Moodle is a course content management system that will allow you to manage your classrooms. You'll be able to manage things like your class attendance, grades, you'll be able to give out materials, you'll be able to collect homework, all within the confines of this little application. Now, Moodle, again, is a course content management system, but there are other systems out there, most popular of which would be Blackboard. It is a proprietary system that you have to pay to use, and so the big difference between these two, besides the cost, is going to be things like tech support. Moodle doesn't offer any tech support, although there are a lot of volunteers out there that are willing to help you to run that system. In any event, we'll talk a little bit about that later. Right now, I just want to run through the whole brief overview of the lecture here. We're going to talk a little bit about the environment, the overall application. We'll talk about some of the components in each individual class, and then we'll actually go look at a live site. A little bit about the history of Moodle. By the way, if you want to go get a copy of it, you can. You can go get it at moodle.org. Moodle was actually a project by a gentleman by the name of Martin Dougimas, or Dougimas. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name, but he created this because he wanted to see an open source version of a course content management system. And so, as a research project for one of his degrees, he developed this system here called Moodle. And so now you can come here and you can download the software if you want. You can also download the hundreds of modules that are associated with it. What happened after he put it out there in the wild was that people started saying, hey, you could add this or you can add that component, and they began to write code and add it to his system. And because it's open source, there are all of these add-ons that are associated with Moodle. Now, this again, it's because it's open source. And just real quickly, open source has about three major components. One is that it doesn't cost anything. I can use this for free without cost. I can use it and give it to my brother without cost. The other thing is that it's available on any platform. I should be able to take Moodle and use it on Windows, Mac, Linux. I should be able to put it on a phone. Okay, it should be portable to anywhere, provided that you have enough hardware. And the last thing is that you can actually look inside the guts. You can look inside the computer programming code of the software. Can't do that with something like Word or Skype and look inside of it. Open source is going to allow you to do that. Some of you may be saying, I'm going to try to jump into this computer role and I want to install my own version of Moodle. You can do that. You can install it on your own server if you so desire. You could use it in your schools if you so desire. What would you need to do that? You need an operating system, network accessible operating system. You'd need a web server, some type of web server like the most popular, which would be the Apache web server, or you could use a Microsoft Internet Information Server. And you need some kind of a database server. Database server like Postgres or MS SQL, or my favorite, MySQL. MySQL is also open source, so is Apache. So you can download all the software you want for free and use it for your Moodle installation. After you have the operating system and the web server and the database server installed and set up, you then download and install Moodle. Go get a copy of it at that site we were just at and follow the instructions to install it. After it's installed, you then configure it with themes and modules and updating the settings. And then you have your own version of Moodle. You can do whatever you want with it. Take a look at the overall environment of Moodle. We'll look at the pages and the categories and the users and roles real quick. This is the course environment. Let's go take a look at just the general environment of Moodle. Here is an installation of Moodle that I have. It's at Tuesday.net. So you're going to want to need that if you go to a site. Where'd you go? There you are. Tuesday.net. And from there you can see here's what a general front page may look like. This part here I've added, okay, so that it looks more like me, but we've got a menu on the side here, some menus on the side. We have more menus on this side over here, including things like a login screen and a calendar, so a variety of things that you can add. There are categories here that you see, and it's in the categories that you can create courses and groups of courses. These are just some of the places that I was playing with at one point, and you can create categories there. And then there are things for the administration, things like users and courses and grades, and this is more of a generic things. So from here you can add users, you can add courses, you can modify information about those. That's at site administration. So that's what the front page looks like. The categories are, of course, this are the group of categories. You can look at all the courses and all the categories if you so desire, but you can make categories. Now, for example, if you were at a particular college or a particular school, you could have English as a category, or science as a category, or lower or you name the category, you can create them, and then within that category, you can create a whole bunch of courses. So that's what the categories are for. You can create users, which obviously you're going to need to do. And there are a variety of ways that you can authenticate users and a variety of permissions that you can set up. You can upload a bunch of users all at once, or you can do them one at a time. And for those who are working on a project here, I probably inserted you already into the system so that you can take a look at and see how this is done. Let's go take a look at an individual course. This is a vanilla course. And when I say a vanilla course, I mean this is a course that was created for MO. Okay, so this is MO's course 101. And you'll notice there's virtually nothing in it. This whole block right in here is pretty much empty. This is the schedule, right? And you'll note there's nothing in it. It's just a little news forum. And the reason why there's nothing in it is because you need to populate it. You think this is your class. This is the weekly schedule for your class. And now you need to populate this course. Okay, and you populate the course by turning on editing and adding information. You can add materials, you can add activities, you can add color and pictures so that it looks nice. But this is your schedule basically for the whole thing. And you would do that by clicking on turning on editing on, or this button here, turn editing on. In any event, after you turn editing on, you're going to get a whole bunch of buttons that pop in. Let's take a look. Okay, you've got every week now has an edit button, an update button. So I can add information into it. So I can, for example, click on this button here, and I can add information. Introductions, for example. I can then center that if I want, and I can make it larger if I want. Right, I can change the color. Where's color? I can change the color if I want to some other funky color. Right? Okay, I can bold this. Boy, that's an ugly color. And then save those changes. And you'll see that it pops up there because I can edit it, update it with this button here. I can also move things around with this button here, this little plus right here. I can grab something and drag it somewhere else so that it moves, right? I can move things around. And I can add resources and activities. Resources are things that you can do to provide materials for your students. You don't grade any of these things, you're just providing materials. You can do a book or a label, you can make a text, you can make a web page, you can display a directory, you can make tabs, and then of course you can also show some content from outside sources. Okay? Labels are this thing right here could basically be considered a label. I can add another label here. For example, if I add a label and just going to put in here homework, right? Well, let's highlight this a little bit, make it a little darker, and maybe italicize it just for the fun of it, make it a little larger, okay? And then save that. And now you see how it's appeared right here. We've got something there called homework now, right? You also see a bunch of buttons here. Move right, update, delete, and hide. Everything that you put up here on the system, you can do any one of those things. You can move it, you can edit it, you can delete it, and you can hide it. Okay, so any of these things that I add, I can later on, I can get rid of it. I can also, in addition to resources, I can add activities. And there are a lot of activities that are available for the Moodle system. There are assignments and attendance and brainstorming, and I'm not going to go through all these right now, but there are some many things that are here for you to use when you're creating a course. Forum is a very popular one that you're going to use quite often. That can allow your students to discuss something that's going on. Forum and assignments are probably the two biggest ones that you'll be using. Okay? And then there are more information that's over here. These things that are sitting over here are called blocks. And that's just extra information that you may want to make available to your students. Or it may be an extra function that you want to make available to your students. And those are in blocks. And you just click on blocks and look at the ones that are there and add the one that you want to add. This is what a basic shell looks like. Oh, hey, forgot to mention, the first block that's here at the top has no numbers on it. It's not part of the weeks, right? Here you see week numbers, right? A week number and a week number. But on the first one, there's nothing there. Those are for items that you just stick at the beginning of the semester that you may use all semester. You might put your syllabus in there, or resources in there, or you might have a folder full of handouts that you want them to go after. You just leave them sitting there on that front block, on that very top block. And that's basically what the course is going to look like as far as your main components. And you'll just keep adding activities in every week that you want them, and adding resources in every week that you want them. Resources and activities. Let's take a quick look over here on the left-hand side. You've got something here called participants, people who are in the course. You can look at who's in the course. You can edit some of those materials. You'll have a list of activities that you'll be able to look through, and then you'll have your administration menu. Things like turning on and off editing, assigning a role, telling someone that they're a student or they're a teacher, assigning roles. You can modify grades, you can create groups, you can import and export, you can modify questions and files. Last thing I want to show you is this little button here called settings, and inside settings you can set all this information. You can set this information as far as the name of the course ID, how long it'll be, right? What sections that you're going to want to have in it, how it's enrolled. Are students allowed in? Maybe you don't want students to come in right away. Maybe you want to allow students and guests in also, and then different names for the roles. Okay, and that's all for your settings. Basically, we've talked about most of these things here. Go into this one here. We've looked at the layout schedule. We looked at the settings, and the roles we didn't look at. We should look at those. Grades and files and questions. Turning on editing and off editing allow you to do all these things, which we've already talked about. And then we've looked at some of the resources and some of the activities. Again, I don't want to go into detail with any of the activities just because this is a longer video. But there are a lot of things here. You can go in and look at them and play with them. And as you have questions, you can continue to ask. Last thing that I want to show you is assigning roles. When you assign roles, you're basically you're setting who's going to be the teacher. You can assign who's going to be a teacher, who's going to be a student, who's going to be a non-editing student, who in other words they have less control. And so all that information is going to be set up, and you can add and pull who is going to be in your classes. So if you're setting this up for your school, you import all your students, and then the teachers can import to that class the people that want to learn, the people that want to be in a particular class. And this is basically what the setup looks like. I know you're going to have more questions. We're going to delve into some more of the details of things. We're going to look at actually how to do an activity or how to do a forum in later sessions, but I did want to show you some of the main things this time. That's all I have for this particular talk. If you're going to have questions about Moodle, you can certainly give me an email, shout out, and I'll try to answer your questions. But bear in mind, we're going to be talking more about Moodle in later sessions. Thanks for listening. Talk to you.